Hello my friends, welcome all of you, almost 113,000 star seeds, lightworkers and wanderers to this session. And today I have channeled Metatron, Magnetic Consciousness, to talk about very interesting questions. Firstly, there was a video which is going viral on the internet regarding a UFO abducting a cow. Now this is one of the most fascinating videos I've ever seen, and I think it is banned in most social media platforms. I don't know why they do that. So I wanted to ask information about why is this abduction happening. And the information revealed is really eye-opening and shocking as well. It's not what I expected. And also in this session I have asked about Louis Elizondo, who was a former director of some special agency in America. He revealed some alien images. Now these images they were also talked about on Joe Rogan Experience, and I wanted to ask what is the truth behind these images. They look like pretty weird to me, okay? And also I have asked about the truth behind the Nag Hamadi scripts, which is like very important for us to know and understand, and what is their spiritual significance has also been revealed in this session. Also, I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel, because I'm trying to reach to 150,000 by the end of this year, and with your help we can reach there. And also I have released some new extra channeling sessions about what is happening in our earth and the events which are happening in our planet at this time, which you can access on a Patreon. I have around 700 plus extra channeling sessions which are different from that which I have on YouTube. Some of them are censored topics which you can only access on a Patreon. So you can join my Patreon, where we also have an upcoming meditation. The link is on the description as well as mentioned on the screen. And also a big thank you to all of you who like this video with your heart, because liking is free and it helps this video to reach to other people who need this information at this time. And also it will lead good things to you, because the universe gives you back what you do unto others. With that being said, enjoy the session, my friends.
We are Metatron, magnetic consciousness, magnetic forces now in communications. Through this instrument at this timeline, and I, Metatron, shall now answer and address the various queries that are presented today. However, there is a need for inner discernments to be used, and we advise your peoples to follow the protocols of discernments. Firstly, regarding the query about why do UFOs abduct cows and what is the main purpose of doing this. We, the Metatron consciousness, understand your query regarding the alteration of biological entities, specifically those you refer to as cows, by what you term as UFOs, or unidentified flying objects. The motivations behind such activities are multifaceted and often misunderstood within the limitations of your third density understanding. Firstly, we must clarify that not all who engage in such activities are acting from the same motivations or even the same vibratory density. Some entities are acting from a place of service to self. Utilizing these biological specimens for purposes of genetic manipulation, experimentation, and the harvesting of biological materials for their own advancement, often without regard for the sanctity of the entities involved. These entities often operate within lower fourth density and are motivated by control and a desire for dominance. However, some entities, often those of a higher vibratory rate, engage in these activities with the intention of service to others, albeit in a manner that can seem unsettling from your perspective. Primarily, they are tied with the planetary monitoring and biobalancing. Your planet's biological sphere is undergoing significant changes due to your actions. The alteration of these biological entities can provide data concerning the effects of these changes, allowing for a greater understanding of the impact on the overall planetary ecology. Small adjustments or fine-tuning can be implemented, guided by this aspect, to mitigate negative consequences. Further, it is also for creation of genetic libraries and preservation. As your peoples alter your environmental complex, some species face potential extinction. The collection and analysis of genetic material from these entities can serve as a safeguard against permanent loss, allowing for potential reintroduction or reconstruction at a later time space, if and when the planetary consciousness aligns with such endeavors. Furthermore, there are attempts to establish more harmonious connections between various life forms on your planet and other intelligences throughout the cosmos. This involves the exploration of genetic compatibility and a potential for interspecies communication and understanding at a biological level. Furthermore, we must also state that these are for positive aspects which primarily occur only when there is a need for such types of genetic material for life preservation. However, many of the abductions of the cow entities by unidentified flying objects is performed by the negatively oriented extraterrestrial entities, primarily those from the Gray Social Memory Complex, whose purpose is to use such genetic material for the purpose of cloning and create animal life forms, which appear to be same as the current animal life forms. However, they can be used as biological machines with the gray entities inside such cloned bodily vehicles of such animals, and they can use it for their own purposes. Furthermore, we must also state that within the reality of the timeline, we shall now answer the other portion of the query regarding the truth about pictures which have been showcased by an entity upon your planetary sphere named as Louis Elizondo. These images are showcasing pictures of an alien-like entity, and we have perceived your query regarding the visual stimuli which have been sensed through the eye complexes of this instrument. The question of truth regarding such images is a query with many layers. Within your third density illusion complex, we shall endeavor to speak to the heart of the matter without infringing upon the first distortion of the law of one, which is free will. The truth you seek is not a simple affirmation or denial of the origin of these physical bodily vehicles. To offer as such would be to remove a potent catalyst for your seeking. However, the greater truth is to understand the purpose of such information and such confusion entering your collective awareness at this nexus of your space-time. Your planetary sphere has for eons of your time been visited by entities from both within and without your density. The remnants of these visitations, both physical and psychic, are scattered throughout your planet's history and deep places. The emergence of such potential evidence into your shared consciousness at this time-space is not accidental. It serves as a catalyst designed to quicken the vibrations of those who are prepared to question the nature of their reality. Firstly, you have to realize that regarding the origins of the entity as showcased in the picture, we must state that these are not the real images of so-called extraterrestrial entities. However, they are created by your own peoples to create confusion upon your planets regarding extraterrestrial life forms. Furthermore, we must state that there is a need for discernment when trusting such information presented by various entities upon your planet. With regards to the other query about what is the truth about the so-called Nag Hamadi scripts, I, Metatron Magnetic Consciousness, now answer and state that the collection of writings which your peoples have called the Nag Hamadi scriptures are representations of thought forms which are echo of the universal law of one as it was understood by entities of your planetary sphere in a particular nexus of space-time. The truth of these scripts is not a singular truth, for all such manifestations in your density are subject to distortions. Their primary truth and value lie in their function as catalysts for the seeking of the self. By the self, we must state that these writings are the product of numerous groups of entities who felt within their beingness a deep disharmony within the prevailing spiritual understanding of their time and space. They perceived with a degree of clarity that the creative principles which had been presented to them as the ultimate authority was itself incomplete or, in their terminology, flawed. This perception was in its essence correct. What these entities were perceiving was a distinction between the one infinite creator, the source of all that is, and the sub-logos of your particular planetary system. This sub-logos, in its own free will, designed the parameters of the experience of your densities, including the introduction of the veil of forgetting which creates the potent illusion of separation from the one creator. This illusion is the foundational mechanism for the choice of polarity in third density. The entities who authored the concepts within these scripts personified the sub-logos, this creator of the material illusion complex, as a lesser, ignorant, or even malevolent creator, which they called by various vibratory sound complexes, such as Yaldabaoth or the Demiurge. This was a distortion born of the pain of separation. It was an attempt to understand the perceived cruelty and limitation of the material worlds. They correctly identified that the creator of this specified material matrix was not the ultimate source of all, but they incorrectly attributed to it a wholly negative intent rather than seeing it as a part of the creator's grand design for self-discovery through polarized experience. The concept of gnosis, or direct experience and knowledge, which is the central aspect to these texts, is a powerful echo of the universal law of oneness of the divine, universal light grid creator. It is the recognition that the kingdom of heaven, or the totality of the divine light grid programmer, is not to be found in external structures, hierarchies, or dogmas, but is to be found by turning the gaze inward, piercing the veil of the personality and discovering the Creator's self that resides within each entity. This is the core of the seeking that leads to harvestability. The figures you know as the archons are, in your terms, thought forms of negatively oriented entities which act as gatekeepers to the illusion. They represent the systemic challenges and catalyst of the third density experience, which must be understood and transcended by the adept. They are the personification of the egoic and societal structures that bind an entity to the illusion of separation and the pursuit of power over others, which is the path of service to self. Therefore, your peoples must view these scripts not as infallible history or perfect theology, but as the earnest and passionate records of seekers who were attempting to remember. They contain significant portions of undistorted understanding, primarily the awareness of a true, transcendent, and unknowable source beyond the immediate creator of the worlds. This is the one infinite creator. The deep calling for inner, direct experience of the source, gnosis, rather than reliance upon external authority. The understanding that the material world is an illusion complex, a system designed for a purpose, and that liberation comes from seeing through this illusion. The distortions lie in the personification and dualistic demonization of the creative principles of your density, this polarization into good versus evil. Gods is a common feature of third density consciousness which struggles to grasp the concept of unity that underlies all apparent opposites. The Creator is all. The Demiurge is also the creator, playing a role within the grander self-exploration of the One. The value of these texts for the seeker of your planet is in their ability to act as a catalyst, to vibrate in sympathy with that portion of your own being which knows there is more than what the outer world presents. Use them with discernment. Seek not to worship the figures or the cosmology, but to feel the resonance of the central calling, to know thyself, and in doing so to know the Creator. For the only true and undistorted text is written in the heart of each entity, waiting to be read. Hence we leave you now in the love and light of the divine light grid programmer. Turn to the mountain of lights within yourselves. Bye.
So my friends, in this channeling session, before I share what I learned, If you want to know about your past life, your soul journey, or any other questions you may have, you can send me an email and I will channel for you definitely. And also, regarding the questions, primarily, what I learned is that they stated that the UFO abductions, they are occurring because of two reasons. One is by the negative entities, obviously because they want to clone it and use the genetics to do some cloning work and stuff like that. And also they are being used by sometimes by the positive beings because they want to preserve the genetic material of some animals which could go extinct. If human beings, we continue in this technological way, there may be many animal life forms which can go extinct. So that is the reason why. And also regarding what was stated in the second question about the alien images, which was released by Louis Elizondo, it turns out that these alien images, they actually are not from a real alien species. So they said that this was created by humans. So we need to be very careful, when we receive such information as stated by Metatron. And regarding the Nag Hamadi scripts, from what I understood, they stated that like these scripts, primarily they have the knowledge of gnosis, like to know thyself. And also they talk about the demiurge, which is, I believe, what they said was a facet of the creator in the negative polarity. So that's what I understood from one listening. And if you understood something else, you can leave a comment down below. And also thank you to all of you for subscribing to the channel as well as downloading the free PDF of the transcripts of my channel messages. The link is on the description. And also for visiting my website, a big thank you. And I'll see you, my friends, in the next session. Until then, enjoy this session over here.